So tonight we are going to read Andrew Jackson's message on Indian removal. And this here is an illustration from the scene at the Treaty of Fort Jackson in 1814. President Jackson imposed severe terms on the Creek Indians. And here, severe means harsh, dangerous, serious, causing fear or anxiety by threatening great harm. So there's also an editor's note here, which is a note to the reader, which is us. On December 6, 1830, President Andrew Jackson spoke to lawmakers. He wanted Eastern Native American tribes to be moved. He wanted them all to move west of the Mississippi River. The reason for this was there would be more land for citizens of the United States to live on. The Native Americans were then called Indians. They were not considered Americans. Jackson defended the Indian Removal Act. This law had already been passed in May of the same year. The Indian Removal Act was passed to make Indians leave their lands in the states east of the Mississippi River. They had to leave the states of Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina. They had to leave parts of their states too. Jackson's ideas led to the deaths of many Native Americans. Newsela readers, Newsela is the publisher of this article, and teachers should be warned that the speech could be considered offensive by today's standards. Newsela does not support or endorse the content of this speech. And here is his speech. I'm going to try and highlight things as I go so you'll know where we are. I'm happy to speak to lawmakers today. Something the government has been working on for a long time is about to come to an end. I'm talking about making the Indians move away from where white people have settled. We have been working toward this for nearly 30 years. We decided on the rules for removing the Indians the last time our lawmakers met. Two important tribes have accepted these rules. I believe they will set an example for the other tribes. The other tribes will want to do this now, too. Moving the Indians quickly will be good for our country. It will be good for each state. Just trying to highlight. Moving the Indians quickly will be good for the country. It will be good for each state. It will help the Indians, too. Our government will save money from this move. There are even better reasons to do this. It will stop disagreements about the Indians between the national and state governments. It will allow many of our citizens to have a large piece of land. This same land is now occupied by a few uncivilized hunters. The move will open the land between Tennessee on the north and Louisiana on the south. Our white citizens can move there now. This will make our southwestern border stronger. It will make the bordering states stronger too. They will be able to fight off invaders on their own. They will not need outside help. We will move the Indians out of the whole state of Mississippi. They must move out of part of Alabama too. The number of our people will grow quickly in these states. They will have more money and power. Now the Indians will not be anywhere near where white people live. The Indians will be free from the power of the states. They will be able to be happy in their own way. They can follow their own simple rules. Indians have been dying of illnesses they catch from white people. Now this won't happen as much. Maybe if they take our good advice, they will change their uncivilized ways. It will be good for the government to protect them. Maybe they will be more interesting, better people. They might become Christians. Why would a good man want to live in a country covered with forests? Who would want to live with thousands of uncivilized people? The Indians could live the way we do instead. It is a much better way to live. We can all live in a land full of cities, towns, and good farms. These places will be built in the best way. They will have all the good things which have been invented. More than 12 million happy people live here. This land will be filled with all the blessings possible. Room for white people to live. The government has always wanted to move the Indians. We are just doing it in a nicer way now. There were Indian tribes on the land that is now the eastern states. They were all killed or have gone away. This made room for white people to live. There are waves of our people rolling to the west. We should get the land of the Indians of the South and West through a fair trade. It will be paid for by the United States. Let us send the Indians somewhere they may live a long time. Perhaps their people will always live there. Of course, it will be sad for them to leave the place their fathers lived. Yet that is what our ancestors did. It is what our children are doing now. Our forefathers wanted to have a better life. They moved here from other countries. This was an unknown land to them. They were willing to leave all the earthly things they loved. Every year, thousands of our children leave the land of their birth. They move to new parts of the country. Do we cry about these sad separations? Is it sad that our children leave everything they loved? Not at all. It gives us joy that our country has space for our young people to move freely. They will be free in body and mind. They can use their skills in the most perfect way. These young people move hundreds and almost thousands of miles. They pay for this move on their own and buy the lands they move onto. The young people take care of themselves in their new homes. The Indian has become unhappy in his old home. This is not the government's fault. It is because of events we cannot change. Then why is it mean for the government to buy the Indian's lands? The government will give him a new and large piece of land. It will pay the cost for him to move. The government will even pay for the things the Indians need for a year. This will help him get started in his new home. Thousands of our own people would love to move to the West in this way. Our people would be grateful and happy to do it. Do you think that the wandering Indian is more attached to his home than the settled Christian? Is it harder for him to leave the land of his fathers than it is for our people? The policy of the national government toward the Indian is not just fair, it is kind. The Indian is not willing to follow the laws of the states. He will not get along with our people. The government wants to save all the Indians from being killed. The national government kindly offers them a new home. It will pay the whole cost of his moving and settlement.